Have you ever had a situation where you've come back from holiday and you feel really down about being back, and it's not just a case of being sad that you're no longer on holiday. It's something a bit deeper than that, and that's something I want to talk about today. And this concept may already have a term for it, but for argument's sake, I'm going to call it travel shock. I think it's a little bit different from culture shock because it's not really the adjustment of returning home and getting used to the way that your home culture or your the current home that you live in, how different it is from the culture that you were just in. I'm talking about travel shock where you've only been away for a short period of time. Like in my case, it was 6 days in Cebu in the Philippines, and it's the adjustment of getting back to a life where you no longer have that opportunity to be outdoors so much, spend so much time in the fresh air, in the sunshine. You don't have the same opportunity, I guess, to be moving around a lot and to be physically active all the time, because for a person like me, my job is a lot more stationary. I'm an English teacher, so I spend a lot of time within my class teaching, and so and in fact I live really close to my school, and so for that reason, I don't move around actively a lot during my actual work day. But I think that, although, it's well recognised that, being outside is a huge contributor to being happy, to being in, your physical environment where you're not at home all the time, or you're not, at work for, a large period of your time. Although that's recognised as, being outside a lot is an important factor to be happy, I think it's also the idea that you have a lot of time to socialise with other people when you're travelling, and that is something that I really, really, really have missed since coming back. I've been back for about a week, just over a week now. Me and my partner Max, we were only away for about 6 days, and I just feel that I really miss having travellers to constantly talk to, and having Max to constantly talk to, and returning to my home environment and my daily schedule where my schedule usually consists of going out on the weekend and meeting friends on the weekend, but my daily, like Monday through Friday schedule is usually I'm working on a book project or my blogging or my YouTube channel in the morning, and then I've usually got work in the afternoon and evening, and as a result I spend a lot less time being outside, being physically active, but most of all having a chance to socialise all the time. And that is, that's the thing I miss so much, and that's what I'm terming, travel shock. I mean, first of all, having an opportunity to hang out with my partner for 6 days was just really, really nice, because that's something that we hadn't done before. Usually we'll hang out on a weekend or whatever, and it just, the time just goes so quickly. But to actually be able to spend 6 full days together and just really hang out and get to know somebody a bit better, is just so nice. And I think part of the reason why is I'm just a really, really sociable person. I grew up in a family where there was three of us kids, and I really love that interaction of being with somebody a lot on a frequent basis. And while we were out and about, we met our neighbour Joey, he was very flamboyant and really, he's like, "Rah," like go, go, go kind of thing. And he was inviting us to go to some bar in the evening and this and that. And he was telling us about, that he was traveling with his boss basically. And she has a very different travel style to him. He's a lot more backpacker and independent, whereas she loves, she's Korean and she loves her resorts and this and that. And he was trying to take her out of that really secure kind of environment and getting her to brave it with him, live on the wild side, and essentially, live, do it backpacking style, which, you just feel so much more alive when you travel in that style. At least for me, I would happily give up a lot of, although I do love comforts, I do agree with Joey, and that is that you just really feel alive when you're there in a hostel or in some kind of, guest house or similar kind of situation, where you just get a chance to hang out with really down-to-earth people that, are there for one reason only, and that is just to seek out life experiences and enjoy themselves as much as possible. Then, we also met another guy called Rodrigo from Chile, and we were chatting to him for, God, we were trapped at Rosita's in Moalboal for about like 3 or 4 hours because there was a torrential rainfall, and actually I think it stopped actually on occasion, and we just didn't leave Rosita's at that time, the guest house that we were staying at, and as a result, Max was saying to me, let's leave, let's just get an umbrella and go, because we were starving, right, and we wanted to go down to the beach strip so that we could actually go and get something to eat, because we were starving, and Rosita's didn't serve food, they just served San Miguel Pilsner. We were like, we really can't have that for dinner. But, we were hanging out with this guy, Rodrigo, and he was telling us that essentially he's been traveling for 2 years, and, he kind of just got stuck traveling. His intention wasn't to be traveling for so long, or he ended up staying in one particular place for much longer than he anticipated. We ended up talking about love and romance and, his experiences in Canada and so on and so forth. It was so interesting listening to his experiences and how he manages to continue living on a budget lifestyle, and continuing to extend his travel. And he was telling me, that he works here or there, he gets a job sometimes in the countries that he's at, so he can extend his travel time, maintain his, his travel. And just listening to his stories, and, it's just so wonderful. In a way, I felt so envious of what he was doing. I just wish that, I could just leave, all my responsibilities behind and just, take off and, travel with one backpack and just tell all my stories, as I go along, through my blog site or my YouTube channel or whatever. And then we met another fella, a Czech guy, and, we bumped into him on a white beach, and, he was telling us about how the local gym is really, really rusty, and he goes to pick up a barbell or something and it's caked in dirt, and it was just so disgusting. And then he got banned from the gym because apparently he offended the owner. He told her, excuse me, he told her that her gym was basically a piece of shit, and she said, well, it's very, very cheap. And he said, yeah, but it's still not worth what basically her gym was just so terrible, and he was complaining about how there was cooking going on next door, and the heat was making gym people like pass out, and how he was saying that he's traveled around the world, and he's been to a lot of gyms, and that he's going to create his own gym in Moalboal, And essentially, I think he was trying to suggest that he was going to take away all her customers and this and that. And I guess because this guy was just talking so much, Max was just a little, I guess, a little frustrated because neither one of us could get a word in edgewise. Like, this gym guy was just full of himself and just doing so much talking. Like, he could have been talking to a brick wall instead of me and Max, and he wouldn't even have noticed. But yeah, yeah. I mean, we we also bumped into two British girls when we were in the French coffee shop. We went there for a couple of times for breakfast, and then on one occasion we couldn't find our hostel because I got confused about which direction we would go in, and Max was just like, "I'm never trusting your sense of direction again." And in a way, I laughed because I know I've got a terrible sense of direction, and I guess that was just the moment that he discovered that about me. That yeah, like, when we were wandering around in the dark trying to remember, what kind of turning it was that we were supposed to find our guest house that we were staying at. This wasn't at Rosita's, this was at a different place called Bamboo Huts. And because there's just a lot of bamboo trees on the side, like, it was hard to identify which tiny little turning was it that we were supposed to go down. And because it's poorly lit as well, we just, it was all we could remember was how much time it had taken for us to get from the Moal Boal strip where all the restaurants are up further along the road to where a lot of the guest houses and hostels and hotels were located. So I wandered into one place and I chatted to a couple of British girls, and I said, "Oh, do you know where Bamboo Huts is?" And then, a few times later, we kept bumping into those girls, and I would wander over and talk to them and this and that, and they were telling me about how they wanted to get to El Nido and Palawan, and they couldn't do it because there was a huge, the storm that was blowing through, and as a result, they had no boats going out there. And I don't know if it affected flights or not, but that's one thing to bear in mind with the Philippines is that they do have there's a lot of I think that the Philippines sits on tectonic plates, and as a result they receive a lot of storms and tsunamis and things like that. And it was just interesting to actually be caught in that, in slap bang in the middle of our stay in Cebu, in Moal Boal to be specific. But anyway, we chatted with, a couple at a salty chicken stall, and, I chatted with Simon, one of the landlords about, the current president of the Philippines, and how apparently the Filipinos actually suspect him of being the head honcho of the drug ring, and that, apparently, despite the fact that he's claiming to eradicate drug problems, he's actually, in fact, apparently, one of the major competitors to actually, he essentially wants to monopolize the drug market. And this is what I was hearing just from chatting with people that live out there. And I was just like, oh my goodness, because you hear one thing on the news, but then you go to that country and you talk to the locals and you're just like, oh my goodness, nobody trusts the president at all, it seems. Or at least those that are outspoken enough to talk about it have some interesting views I wasn't aware of, before visiting. But anyway, I guess what I'm trying to say is that it's all of this kind of interaction, constantly like socializing and talking to people. And for me, while I also like some quiet time and some alone time, I love getting out there, talking to people, asking questions, learning about people's lives. And for me, that's what makes me feel alive. My routine of, what I do out here every day, and I'm currently that it's, creating a business that I do in the mornings usually, and then in the afternoons and evenings it's financially supporting myself by doing my job. I just, I feel as though for me that's not enough. I think that's part of the reason why I love traveling so much. And just that need to be out there and meeting people, especially, you know, because I live in Asia right now. I'm so far away from Europe where all my family are, and you know, anyway, so I guess this really was an expression of my feelings right now, and just this topic of how travel can create feelings, and when you notice them, you begin to recognize a need within yourself. And for me, I'm recognizing that I need to be around a lot of people regularly, or maybe a specific type of people that really that have similar values to me, particularly the need to explore the world and experience new things. And right now, I really, really, really miss that. And I'm already thinking about when I can next go traveling. You know, I'm thinking about hopefully going to India later this year and getting to Europe to see my family in June or July, possibly. But anyway, that's my rant. My rant over. My feelings divulge, and you know, I wonder if, you know, this idea of travel shock, or this feeling of coming back and just, you know, not having that same interaction or the same people available to talk to, you know, or similar type of people to talk to on a regular basis, whether you also experience that. So anyway, please leave your comments below if this is something that you've also felt, you know, a kindred affiliation with. You know, you felt similar feelings with this particular situation, and I'd love to know also how you dealt with it. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I'll attach a video or two of some of the videos that I recorded when I was out in the Philippines, and hit the subscribe button if you like my channel, and I'll leave a few links below so that you can find me on social media and you can see the book that I've produced recently and so on. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye.